Welcome to episode 2 of the Pin Down. I'm your host, Chris Hazelton. Saturday, November 9th, Greenville, Michigan hosts American Legion Post 101 Arm Wrestling number 2, put on by No Limits Arm Wrestling and OGP, better known as Overgrown Promotions. The event will start at noon, but be different than what you're used to. The event will start with a tournament instead of the challenge matches. There will be 6 weight classes, left and right-handed for men, and 2 weight classes for the women, both left and right-handed. There will be a 3-pound clothing allowance. Entry fee will be $20 for the first class and $10 for each additional class that you would like to pull in. There will be awards for first and second place. Then at 6 p.m. the magic begins. For just $10, you'll be able to witness OGP dog tag matches and 2 championships being defended. There's a spectator fee for the show that starts after 6 p.m. The admissions proceeds go to the Mid-Michigan Honor Flight dedicated to honoring our nation's veterans by taking 75 veterans per flight on a 2-day mission to Baltimore, Maryland. During this trip, veterans spend the night and enjoy dinner before being transported by charter bus to Washington, D.C. to visit the memorials dedicated to their service. Let me touch on the OGP dog tag matches briefly. These are the best of 5 challenge matches where the 2 pullers at the table have a dog tag with their name engraved on it. Before the match begins, these tags are placed in the center of the table. If you lose a best of 5 match, you lose your tag. But if you win, you collect your opponent's tag with their name on it. These tags represent a point value and can be accumulated throughout the year with each challenge match you have with No Wimps and OGP. At the end of the year, those points will be tallied up, and whoever the point leader is will become the OGP Arm Wrestler of the Year. This event is brought to you by A&E Agency, Momber Sales LLC, and Grip Arm Sport. And now let's get into the matchups. Just finishing his first year of arm wrestling, Paladin will face fellow training partner on the table in rock climbing and in powerlifting, Adam Kolkman. Adam has been training with Paladin for years off the table, but brings a few months of experience on the table. Being invited by Paladin to the Redneck Bar to train in Howard City, Adam was immediately hooked. He's been training regularly for the last 2 months. After hearing about this competition, he wanted to join. With short notice and the difficulty of finding another green arm wrestler, Paladin offered a left-handed match for Kolkman. Paladin, a former all-state high school rower, a powerful climber, and has put up some grip strength records as well. Paladin is currently rehabbing an injury on his right arm, but his left is more than ready to battle with Adam. Next up, we have Rain Piccola versus Grace DeCrane in a best-of-5 left and right-handed matchup. Piccola is back on the table exactly 1 week after competing in a super match at Club Wars 7. Rain is a former national champion and back to full-time arm wrestling practice after taking time off. Grace Bring the Pain to Crane is a product of OGP and has only been in 2 tournaments. She has been on the table for less than a year but has shown potential. Next up, we have Rain's dad, Dan Piccola versus Scott Castle in a best-of-5 left-handed matchup. Castle came up short last week in the left-handed matchup at Club Wars 7, suffering defeat at the hands of Joe Friesen. Scott comes back 1 week later and puts it on the line against Piccola. Dan had his first tournament back in 1986 and has since claimed the national championship. He has been a top 3 placer in most of the tournaments that he has done. Phil Aarons, coming off a 3-0 win last week at Club Wars 7, defeated Brandon Warren. This week he tests himself against Brandon Clark in a best-of-5 left-handed match. This is bound to be an exciting matchup. Tom Radigan takes on Brandon Clark in a right-handed best-of-5 matchup. Clark brings years of experience to the table as he grew up arm wrestling with Scott, Ben, and Gabe White. He tuned his craft, learning what he could from them, as well as Brian Bowerman. Brandon has been in love with his sport ever since. Ranked number 4 in the 220-pound division, Radigan has been pulling for 6 years and trains with the crew at Too Strong for You. Tom is coached by 2-on-1 Arm Wrestling. This past year, he took home his second-place plaque for the Michigan State Arm Wrestling Championships in the Masters Division. Mikey Bear Paul Lemson versus Rod Sellers in a best-of-5 right-handed match. Lemson has been training for almost 3 years at Matt Borden's Redneck Bar. Mikey's current goal for 2025 is to become the OGP left-handed super heavyweight champion to continue his training. He is going to pull in the East versus West Novice Finals in 2025. Sellers, a 2023 inductee to the Michigan Arm Wrestling Hall of Fame, a holder of 6 national titles, 45 state championships, and the first holder of the Michigan Arms 198-pound belt. Rod is the driving force behind No Wimps Arm Wrestling. Sellers put on his first tournament in 1990 and has been part of the staff at Michigan State Arm Wrestling Championship since 1986. Chris Hazelton versus Austin Lance for the OGP Super Heavyweight Left-Handed Championship in a best-of-5 challenge match. Arm wrestling has always been a part of Austin's life. He did his first tournament when he was 8 years old. Once he took it serious, he began training with Rod and Brando Sellers with No Wimps, as well as Dan Bennett with OGP. He currently trains at the Redneck Bar with Matt Borden. Lance's eventual goal is to get the #1 overall right-handed spot in Michigan and feels like he's getting closer. I got my start in the sport pretty much by accident. At the time, I was promoting boxing and MMA events in Michigan. Once COVID hit, we could no longer put on events in arenas, but I seen Gerald Johnson, Stiggy, who used to help sponsor our events, make a Facebook post saying that he was going to an arm wrestling practice. I messaged him about it curiously, and he told me to come out. I went, didn't come back for a while since the new arm wrestling pain was a little too much. Eventually, I came back and stuck with it. My first tournament was in 2021 at the Michigan State Arm Wrestling Championships, and I have been in love ever since. I'm currently sitting at #1 overall left hand and the holder of the OGP Super Heavyweight Left-Handed Championship. I'm sure Austin has his eyes on making it his own. The OGP 242-pound right-handed champion Daryl Ingersoll defends his belt against Brett Kupka. Ingersoll works as a brake press setup operator bending steel for armored military vehicles. Arm wrestling has been a part of his life since the late 1980s. Despite the fact that Daryl has suffered nerve injuries over the years, he has still continued to press on, cementing his name in the Michigan rankings at #1 in the 242-pound left-hand division and #5 right-handed, as well as being the #2 overall left-hander in the state. Daryl considers this the biggest match of his career. The challenger, Brett Kupka from Cedar Springs, has been arm wrestling for fun since he was young. He built an arm wrestling table during COVID and brought it to the tire shop where he works. He would arm wrestle anyone that came through if they were willing. Brett works with Matt Borden's cousin Randy. Randy told Matt that he could beat him, so Matt came in and gave it a try. Brett was able to get the win even though Matt was outweighed by 80 pounds. To say you got a win over Borden as a non-practicing arm wrestler is a big deal. Matt talked him into coming to practice on Thursdays and said, "I will make you one of the best in the state." Kupka went to his first tournament 8 months ago and got hooked. He has taken third at Michigan State and has flew up the rankings within the past year. This will definitely be a match to see. We are sitting down with Rod Sellers, the founder of No Wimps Arm Wrestling. Thanks for giving us your time, Rod.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I enjoyed the first episode.
All right. Tell me what got you into the sport of arm wrestling and how did No Wimps come about?
I started arm wrestling when I was really, well, I grew up the youngest of 6 kids. 3 of us were boys. So, of course, I arm wrestled when I was real young. I got into middle school and I was fairly good at it. And so I arm wrestled for lunch money. And I had like people's lunch tickets and bags of lunch. And I had a lot of friends that ate well. Then I got out of school and I started visiting the bars and found out that I had a this was a long time ago. This was in the 80s. A factory job was about $300 a week. Pretty good pay back then.
Yeah.
But at $20 a match, I could go to the bar on the weekend and make like $400 at the bar arm wrestling. So I beat a lot of people. I was about 185 pounds. And it didn't matter how big the guys were, if they were bodybuilders or what, I was winning and making money at the bars. And one day I saw a sign on the wall of a Michigan State Championship going to be in Ionia, put on by George Dybel. And I believe Ed Fitzgerald was a ref. But I saw that and I thought, man, I'm a state champion just waiting to happen. So I drove my motorcycle there and I was just sure I was going to walk in and beat everybody and leave there with all the hardware and entered with both arms and was 2-0 on both arms. And Ed Fitzgerald, who if any arm wrestlers in Michigan know him and around the country because he refs a lot of tournaments and he's been in it for years, but he beat me both arms and boy, my elbows hurt. and I would roll over at night and roll on that arm, and it would just set me up in bed all in pain. And boy, I'm going to whoop him one of these days. And he won't admit it, but about 3 years later, I did get a win on him. and so I started hanging around with people, and me and George Dybel and a few people would go out of state. And when I won my first arm wrestling tournament, Ohio State Sit-Down Championship, Dave Motz put it on. And I decided I wanted to throw a tournament to, make sure, celebrate my win. And I worked at a factory, and they had a lead foundry. And the people in the lead foundry, they had to get their blood checked all the time. It was a hazardous place. And if you went to the door, somebody made this sign my logo, it said Wimps with the round circle and the line through it. And I thought that was so cool that I put it on my flyers. And that was in 1990. I put on my first tournament in 1990. I think my second tournament was 91, and it was Steve Pettis's very first arm wrestling tournament. There's video on my YouTube page, and in the video, you can hear Ed Fitzgerald talking about, if anybody's interested in learning how to arm wrestle, get a hold of Rod Sellers at No Wimps Arm Wrestling, and you get with him and practice. And so No Wimps has been around since 1990, and that's pretty much how that all started.
As an event promoter, if you could change one thing about the sport, what would it be?
Now, that's a good question, because I got so many things I'd like to change. I've been a professional arm wrestler since 92. And I look at other sports, and the athletes get paid, the spectators, they pay to watch. And in arm wrestling, it's always been the opposite. And I think, people called me a professional arm wrestler for years, and I would say, no, I'm not. I pay for it, and so I would like to change that. And about a year and a half ago or so, me and Dan Bennett teamed up, and we put on 11 tournaments that were free entry to the arm wrestler, and because I feel that the athlete shouldn't have to pay. And we did that, and it required a lot of sponsorship. And on the first ones, I had a lot of sponsors, but I put on a lot of tournaments. You keep hitting up the sponsors, and it dies out. So I thought I had to try something different. And now I'm trying to work my way up. This tournament that's coming up Saturday in the morning, there's going to be a regular tournament like we usually do, and it's going to be the old way of doing things, where the arm wrestler comes in and you pay $20 for your first arm, 10 for the second. Tournaments are usually over by about 4:30, and so at 6 we're going to run an event where it's a bunch of super matches, and we are charging at the door for that, and the arm wrestlers don't pay. And I'm trying to work my way to where we can get to paying our arm wrestlers, and it being like a real sport. We've been upside down, backwards, and inside out ever since I've been in it. I just don't understand why, but I believe it's because people don't try. I've never seen a flyer other than the ones I've been putting out lately that actually, talk about a spectator fee and advertisement for the spectators. I don't see people trying that in arm wrestling, and we need to give it a shot and get this thing rolling.
This Saturday, November 9th, the show at the Legion, where the tournament and challenge matches are taking place. Tell me what you have in store the Friday before the show.
All right, so we got a lot of people coming in Saturday, and in arm wrestling, we like to weigh in the night before. So at 5:30, we're going to start weigh-ins, and during that time, we have one of the things that I do. I also think arm wrestlers need merchandise. So one of the things I do is I make trading cards. Got a lot of, for each of our pros at the end of the night and our novices at the end of the night, we're going to have trading cards. We're going to try to get as many of them there the night before to sign trading cards, and sell trading cards. Plus, I've got a couple of grip games. I don't even really know how to explain some of them to people, but at
They'll have to
tournament,
see it to find out.
what's that?
They're gonna have to see it to find out.
Yeah, but it's fun. And at Club Wars last weekend, we had a lot of people uh, playing what I was playing our new grip game, and everybody seemed to like it. The women liked it, which surprised me. Something we couldn't get them off the table to play it with us guys. So it's a new thing I'm messing with, and it's just gonna be go up and have fun with it, and we're gonna learn some rules and find out what works and what doesn't work, and we're gonna probably end up having competitions soon with that. But so yeah, we're gonna meet together. We're gonna have have a nice social time and play some grip games and sell some trading cards.
Sounds good. If you could, tell us about your world record karate shop.
Oh, okay. Steve Pettis sent me and Dan Blanchard and some people to Wing Stadium to promote a Michigan State championship. And right next to us, the booth next to us was Mick Foley. He was promoting a SmackDown, and it was breast cancer awareness night at Wing Stadium, and the people that run Wing Stadium come up and asked Mick Foley if he would go out and do a karate chop during intermission for everybody, and Mick just stormed away from him. He didn't want to deal with it. So they come up, and me and Dan Blanchard are standing there, and they said, "Would one of you guys do it?" It's karate chop. I said, "What's this for?" And they said it was for breast cancer awareness, and my mother survived that, so I thought, oh, that's a good thing. I'll go out and do that. I figured I was going to hurt my hand, and didn't know what I was getting into, but I got out there and I found out what I was karate chopping through was Pop Tarts. And I didn't really know this was a thing, but apparently a lot of black belts try this too. If you get a stack of 24 Pop Tarts like I had, it's not how hard you hit through it, it's the fact that stack of Pop Tarts wants to like fold over, and you got to break every one of them. So it's a control thing. And I broke the world record, and there's video of it that shows it, and it was exciting. It seems like every kid in that whole stadium come up afterward to get a piece of the Pop Tart. It was a fun experience, and I'm like the pastry king now or something. I got a world record karate chop.
So, if you weren't arm wrestling, what would Rod Sellers be doing today?
I would probably be sitting around getting fat because this motivates me to stay in shape, and I have gained a lot of weight lately, and I've been putting on too many tournaments, so I was staying out of them. Now with these challenge matches, I'm going to be getting back into more arm wrestling, and I will be losing some weight and getting back in shape. I really hope I would have been doing something like powerlifting or whatnot, but I'm not sure. I probably would have just been on my computer, sitting down and eating Pop Tarts and drinking pop.
So, this Saturday, what can the fans expect to see? I heard this event supports a good cause, and maybe touch on what the OGP dog tags are all about.
All right, first off, we got this event, and it it's at the Legion. The American Legion are affiliated with a group of people that take an airplane load of veterans, and they take them on a field trip to Washington D.C. Vietnam veterans get to go to the wall and see the names of the people that they were with.
Mhm.
And it's a real good cause, and that's what the entry fee after 6 all that entry fee goes towards getting the veterans airplane ride to Washington D.C. We'll probably be having donation box there for that too, so that we can support that good cause. But being that we've done a tournament at the Legion a couple of months ago, and we're going to try to do quite a few of them there. I'm not a huge fan of rankings because of technique. You know, somewhere in the line of rankings, I'm ranked number 4, left and right, I believe, in the 242 in Michigan now. And if somebody beats me and they go above me, that doesn't mean they can beat the technique of everybody underneath.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I come up with this idea because, well, one of our wrestlers that's going to be there on Saturday asked, Rod, how do I become the best in my weight class? And I come up with the idea that actually another association had dog tags. I'm doing something around veterans who all wear dog tags, and I figured that if I put points on dog tags and give each person these, like, I'm going to have a match against Mikey Lemson where there's going to be a dog tag for each of our names. The winner gets to keep both dog tags. They're worth 3 points apiece towards our OJP Arm Wrestler of the Year. But the Mikey dog tag, I'm going to put on my wall. How do you like that, Mikey?
Well, I already have one on my wall. So.
You got one of them? Oh,
I got
I'm
one of
gonna
them.
have one of them, aren't we? But anyways, the one with that I get of my name, I'd be able to, apparently you've got one with your name. We could challenge each other. It might be at one of my events, it might be at a Club Wars event or at a practice, but if anybody that's got a dog tag with their own name on it, they can arm wrestle somebody else and try to collect up more. And I'm figuring by Bennett's birthday bash next year, what we will do is we will have everybody bring in their dog tags and we count up your points. And the one with the most amount of points is Arm Wrestler of the Year. We also give out dog tags for first, second, and third in the arm wrestling tournament, which happens in the morning. We're going to have a 10 o'clock till noon weigh-in. Tournament starts at 1. If you take first, you get a dog tag. This first place dog tags are worth 3 points. Second place dog tags are worth 2 points. Third place dog tags are worth 1. And like them, you don't get to arm wrestle somebody else for. You keep them. Like I say, at the birthday bash, you bring in how many dog tags you got. Whoever's got the most points is the Arm Wrestler of the Year.
Good deal. Well, that is all I have for you. The table is yours if you have anything to say to anybody out there.
Well, I would like to first thing I have to do is thank my sponsors. I have a few sponsors that stick with me pretty good. Grip Arm Sport, which arm wrestlers all know. A&E Insurance Agency here in my hometown of Greenville. They've supported us on, I believe, every tournament we put on in the last year and a half or so. And Momber Auto Sales out of Sparta. Chad Momber, he is a very good left-handed arm wrestler. At least he was. He doesn't come to too many tournaments anymore. I think he was at Bike Time this year. But he's been a very good supporter of the sport. So them are the first 3 that I've got to thank. We have some other sponsors that jump in now and then, and they're on our flyer. But these are the 3 that stick with me the most.
Yep.
And so I got to make sure they're talked about and make sure that everybody supports them. The other thing is we really got to help support veterans in any way we can. And if you don't, come and support them with the thing I'm doing, everybody please find a way to do that. They put their lives on the line for us. So
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them.
nope. So we got to support the veterans as much as we can. And that's pretty much what's Saturday's event after 6 is going to be. What I really want to try to do I like putting on tournaments. I plan on putting on tournaments as long as they last, but there's a new group of people. A lot of them in Michigan started arm wrestling during COVID. And what they did is they got on YouTube and they saw a lot of videos, and most of the YouTube videos are Devin Larratt and East versus West or whatever, but a bunch of super matches, and all these people see him and other top pros, and they really, a lot of people, that's all they saw, that's all
Yeah,
they
you
know
don't know
about.
what
They
the
haven't,
tournament is.
yeah, they don't know what a tournament is. So that's kind of hard for an old guy like me that's been around tournaments for years. And so it's taken me a little while to realize that everything evolves, and that might be the way this is going. So uh, I think it's going to actually help out with us bringing in spectators. We don't we haven't had spectators for years, but when we do have people come in, they enjoy it. But myself, I don't even like to sit through a 3 hour movie.
Mhm.
So somebody that has an arm wrestle doesn't want to be there for 3 hours or the 6 hours of the full tournament to see how it ends. So if we put on these super matches and we give them like an hour and a half to 2 hours, then everybody leaves still excited and goes tells people, "Hey, that was great. You got to see one. Come check it out." Instead of, "Boy, that 6 hours was long. My butt hurts," and you don't want to
Yeah.
go to one of them.
And with like the challenge slash super matches, it's action all the time. There's not a lot of downtime.
Not a lot of downtime, and we know more about who's in it, so we can actually talk on the mic and tell the spectators who don't know, you know, if when I get up to the table, people might not know I've got 6 national titles, over 40 state titles. I I'm in the Arm Wrestling Hall of Fame in Michigan, and you know, nobody knows that unless we have a somebody on the mic telling them that, and keeping it exciting. Nice walk-in music, like a WWE walk-in music type thing, and we're going to try to make it a nice show for people. And we did this on a Friday 2 months ago. We had a lot of people that had never seen arm wrestling, and they really enjoyed it. And they were they were I asked people what they thought it was worth in our hour and a half show. I heard a lot of people say $15 a ticket was good. Well, they're going to charge 10 at the door. And like I say, that goes towards getting veterans to the memorial. And so it's for a good cause. And I want to try to build this up. And at some point, we won't always, we're going to stick with the veterans as much as possible, but we want to get this out, and we want to spread it out to where if this works, we're going to be able to bring in admission fees to pay our wrestlers in the matches at some point. So I'm trying to build it up. Like I say, 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, we started doing the free tournaments. Requires a lot of sponsorship. The 3 sponsors that I went through, they really helped us out a lot. But I I wanted to tweak it a little bit, and so I'm trying some things, and hopefully we'll get this to be like a real sport where the arm wrestler doesn't pay, the spectators pay, arm wrestlers get their own, can get their own sponsors, and that's happening more and more. I mean, that's what happened to some of the sponsors I had a year or so ago, is they started sponsoring individuals to go to the Worlds or go to a Nationals or whatever. And I'm fine with that. I like that whole idea. I actually encouraged that. And it took away from some of my sponsors. So I'm working on other ways of bringing in revenue. And we're always looking for sponsors. Anybody out there that is listening to this that might want to help out, we
Well, better tell them how to get a hold of you.
well, you can get on Facebook and look for Rod Sellers or No Wimps Arm Wrestling, and that's the best way to get a hold of me. Uh, if you like my No Wimps Arm Wrestling page, you'll always know when my events are coming up. If you buy a trading card, I don't know when you're going to be able to see this. It's a little postage stamp thing on my computer,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there is a QR code in the corner that will take you to my event page. And I believe I've even got a link on there for my world record karate chop, my sponsors and stuff like that. But so if you come there and you buy anybody's trading card, except for I think I put your own, I think I put your link tree on yours instead of mine. But most of the trading cards will go to my event page. And so for $1 for a card, that's what the cards will sell for $1. Autographs on them will go for whatever you and the person decide. So you get one of them cards, and a couple of years from now, if you want to know where a tournament's at, you'll be able to scan that code, and there will be the my event page. I plan on listing events for other things on there too, because there's already thousands of these cards out, and so I'd like to not just advertise my stuff, but I would probably will be putting links to different Club Wars events if Jerry Bell wants me to put that in there, and try to support as much arm wrestling in Michigan as we can. And it's exciting for those of you out there who haven't seen an event. If you haven't done it, haven't seen it, come to the 6 o'clock thing, the 6 o'clock event this Saturday, or find out when there's a Club Wars event. Them are always exciting, fun time. And arm wrestling is an exciting sport, and I don't.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people have actually went. It's like, I didn't know this existed, and I'm glad I've been here, and they pretty much stuck around.
And everybody's friendly with everybody. I mean, my best friends in the world are people who kicked my butt arm wrestling for years, and we got to know each other. Or maybe I've beat them, but it's the camaraderie in the sport is amazing. All my best friends are from the sport. Probably all my oldest friends nowadays are from the sport, and you get to meet a lot of neat people. I mean, I stood at the Michigan State Championship 2 years ago next to Dan Severn discussing UFC, and I think that happened because of you, didn't it? Didn't you?
I think Steve had him already set up, but I've known Dan for years from like the MMA promotion days.
And there's other people that Esteban I enjoyed meeting him, so we meet UFC people, bare knuckle boxers. At one point, Larry Sofield years ago was putting on tournaments, and he managed Dan Severn, and he managed some boxers, and he brought in Booker Word, who was a short time, he was a world champion boxer. And I've got to meet a lot of nice, cool people from sports, and I enjoy it. I used to go because it was like a freak show for a while. The people that got into it were doing weird things. Like Mike West was in the Guinness Book for ripping phone books, and he's a world champion, badass arm wrestler. And he's the first person I ever saw rip a deck of cards. And now that's one of my big things. I'll be doing that Friday and Saturday. If somebody wants to learn how to rip a deck of cards in half, come on up and give it a try. I'll be bringing a bunch up there and showing people how. And most of the time I do this, nobody really picks it up. But I was up in Wolverine, put on a tournament at Two Wheel Tavern in Wolverine, and dropped 30 some decks of cards on the table and said, come on up if you want to learn. And we had 3 people rip a deck of cards for the very first time there. And so that's, I've seen people do all kinds of strange stuff. We had one guy that would take a pop can and squeeze it and blow it up. You get a lot of weird freaks, strange freaks in the arm wrestling world, and it's enjoyable if you're into a day of testosterone and excitement and fun. This Saturday is going to be your day.
Gonna sound like a good time. I think I'm gonna let you go, Rod. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for what you do, Chris. And I saw the first episode and could not wait to be in the second episode. You do a great job with what you're doing.
All right, thank you. We'll see ya.
Thank you.
That's the show for this week. We'll be back soon with more Michigan arm wrestling news. Thanks again for watching the Pin Down.